Brainstem. Chapter 146. Introduction. Brainstem is the part of brain formed by medulla oblongata, pons, and midbrain. Brainstem contains ascending and descending tracts between brain and spinal cord. It also contains many centers for regulation of vital functions in the body. Medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata or medulla is the lowermost part of brain. It is situated below pons and is continued downwards as spinal cord. Medulla forms the main pathway for ascending and descending tracts of the spinal cord. It also has many important centers which control the vital functions. Respiratory centers. Dorsal and ventral group of neurons form the medullary respiratory centers, which maintain normal rhythmic respiration. Vasomotor Center. Vasomotor Center controls blood pressure and heart rate. Deglutition Center. Deglutition Center regulates the pharyngeal and esophageal stages of deglutition. Vomiting Center. Vomiting Center induces vomiting during irritation or inflammation of gastrointestinal, GI, tract. Superior and inferior salivatory nuclei. Salivatory nuclei control the secretion of saliva. Cranial nerve nuclei. Nuclei of 12th, 11th, 10th, and some nuclei of 8th and 5th cranial nerves are located in the medulla oblongata. 12th cranial, hypoglossal, nerve controls the movements of tongue. 11th cranial, accessory, nerve controls the movements of shoulder, and 10th cranial, vagus, nerve controls almost all the vital functions in the body, viz. Cardiovascular system, respiratory system, GI system, etc. 8th cranial nerve, the cochlear division of this nerve, which has the relay in medulla oblongata, is concerned with the auditory function. Vestibular nuclei. Vestibular nuclei contain the second-order neurons of vestibular nerve. There are 4 vestibular nuclei, situated in the rostral part of medulla and caudal part of pons, namely superior, medial, lateral and inferior vestibular nuclei. Medial and inferior vestibular nuclei extend into medulla. All the medullary centers and nuclei of cranial nerves are controlled by higher centers, situated in cerebral cortex and hypothalamus. Pons. Pons forms a bridge between medulla and midbrain. Functions of pons. Axons of pontine nuclei join to form the middle cerebellar peduncle or the brachium pontis. Pons forms the pathway that connects cerebellum with cerebral cortex. Pyramidal tracts pass through the pons. Medial lemniscus is joined by the fibers of 10th, 9th, 7th, and 5th cranial nerves in pons. Nuclei of 8th, 7th, 6th, and 5th cranial nerves are located in pons. Pons contains the pneumotaxic and apnostic centers for regulation of respiration. It also contains the vestibular nuclei, which are already mentioned in medulla oblongata. Midbrain. Midbrain lies between pons and diencephalon. It consists of 2 parts, tectum. Cerebral peduncles. Tectum. Tectum is formed by 2 structures, superior colliculus. Inferior colliculus. Superior colliculus. Superior colliculus is a small structure and is an important center for reflexes. Through tectospinal tract, superior colliculus controls the movements of the eyes, head, trunk, and limbs, in response to visual impulses. Efferent fibers from superior colliculus going to the nucleus of 3 cranial, oculomotor, nerve cause constriction of pupil during light reflex. Thus, it forms the center for light reflex. Superior colliculus also receives afferents from optic tract, which helps in the integration of optical and postural reflexes. Inferior colliculus. Inferior colliculus consists of single layer of neurons to which the lateral lemniscus, auditory fibers, synapses. Inferior colliculus is the center for auditory reflexes. Stimulation of this also produces reflex vocalization. Cerebral peduncles. Cerebral peduncles include, basis pedunculi, substantia nigra, tegmentum, which includes red nucleus, basis pedunculus. Basis pedunculus consists of pyramidal tract fibers in the middle, Temporopontine fibers laterally and frontopontine fibers medially. Substantia nigra. Substantia nigra is situated below the red nucleus. Substantia nigra is considered as one of the components of basal ganglia, chapter 151. Tegmentum. Tegmentum lies dorsal to substantia nigra and is actually the upward continuation of the reticular formation in Pons. Tegmentum comprises 3 decussations and red nucleus. Decussations in tegmentum. Superior cerebellar peduncle, which is formed by fibers between cerebellum and other parts of CNS. These fibers are predominantly efferent fibers from dentate nucleus of cerebellum. Few fibers are from other cerebellar nuclei such as nucleus globosus and nucleus emboliformis. Pharal decussation, which is due to the crossing of rubrospinal tracts from either side. Maynard decussation, which is due to the crossing of medial longitudinal bundle that is formed by efferent fibers of 3rd, 4th, and 6th cranial nerves. Red nucleus. Red nucleus is a large oval or round mass of gray matter, extending between the superior colliculus and hypothalamus. Parts of red nucleus. Red nucleus has 2 parts, nucleus magnocellularis, which is formed by large cells. Fibers from this form the rubrospinal and rubrobulbar tracts. Nucleus parvicellularis, which is formed by smaller cells. Fibers from this form mainly the rubroarticular tract. Connections of red nucleus. Afferent connections. Red nucleus receives fibers from nucleus parvicellularis, which receives fibers from motor cortex, area 6, corticorubral fibers, Fig 146.1. Nucleus magnocellularis, which receives fibers from motor cortex, area 6, pallidorubral fibers. Nucleus magnocellularis, which receives fibers from dentate nucleus, of opposite side, cerebellarubral or dentatorubral tract. Efferent connections. Red nucleus sends efferent fibers to various parts of brain and spinal cord, rubrospinal tract to spinal cord, Fig 146.2. Rubrobulbar tract to medulla. Rubroarticular fibers to reticular formation. Rubrothalamic tract to lateral ventral nucleus of thalamus. Rubroolivary tract to inferior olivary nucleus. Fibers to nuclei of 3rd, 4th, and 6th cranial nerves. Functions of red nucleus. Control of muscle tone. Because of its connections with cerebellum, vestibular apparatus, and skeletal muscle, the red nucleus plays an important role in facilitating the muscle tone. Control of complex muscular movements. Red nucleus controls the complex muscular movements. It plays an important role in the integration of various impulses received from many important areas of brain. Control of writing reflexes. Red nucleus is the center for all writing reflexes except optical writing reflexes, chapter 157. Control of movements of eyeball. Through its efferent connections with nuclei of 3rd, 4th, and 6th cranial nerves, red nucleus plays an important role in the control of ocular movements, chapter 165. Control of skilled movements. Red nucleus plays an important role in controlling the skilled muscular movements by its connections with spinal cord and cerebral cortex.